this an audit, possibly from the state would come in maybe and look at this?
My emergency plan?
Yes.
It's just one of those things you have to have in case,
Right.
in case they come in, and it's a good thing to have too, you know, so. And they give you this great template, so all I have to do is fill in.
Oh, perfect. That's
Fill
good.
in a
Yep.
lot of, phone numbers, contacts, for, all kinds of things.
That
Things
makes-
we
that
would
makes
have
it
never
easier.
thought of.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it really does help. And one of the other things that you discussed before I came on was the idea of a generator.
Right,
Well, all of our equipment have battery backups, and, but if we were to lose power, that doesn't give us any lights or anything else. But even if we did decide to purchase a generator, I think first we need to get it, the electricity hooked up so that we can safely plug in a generator. That would be the first step. And I thought maybe for this year, if we could get that set up, we could probably get the fire department to bring their generator down. And the generator should be on site. You shouldn't have your power go out and then run and get the generator.
Should be ready.
So you're saying possibly a portable type generator?
Yes, well, because the first thing is we have to get it wired.
Yeah, there would have
The
to be an
building
outside
wired.
hookup to.
Sure.
to hook
Yeah.
it up.
The
So we
building-
talked about maybe getting a quote on that, and I think we should have a couple electricians maybe take a look and see how much it would, to get, you know, that portable hookup.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
so.
Yeah, and let's see, a few things that I'm gonna need to purchase is a Dymo label writer for creating labels. I cannot find one around here. Everybody says, oh, I know you have one. Well, I can't find it. And I would and that's less than $100. And then a handheld scanner, just like the one we have, but it'd be nice to have two, so you don't have to move it around and that's only like $23 for one, just like, and the $23 one from Amazon is identical to the $78 one from Election Source. So that was, yeah. And, disposable headphones, we've got it's called a VAT, it's a motor assisted terminal. And it has a touch screen on it, and it even has this thing that you can take off and you can move the buttons to vote for. But nobody ever used it because they didn't want to be labeled disabled or whatever, so this year they're going to pitch it as the touchscreen voter station instead of the voter assisted. But it's for people that might need some extra assistance, but anybody can use it. And for that, we need some disposable headphones, and those I found on Amazon for $1 a pair, so.
Isn't there a set in that case with that?
Yeah, there are,
Okay.
but do you wanna wear somebody else's headphone? No.
I'm the only one, I think, who's ever used that machine.
Plug in your things.
No, they're actual
Yeah.
phone, they're actual
Actual
headphones that we
phone.
put on, yeah.
$1 a piece.
Yeah, $1 a piece is pretty
Yeah, that
decent,
is.
and I found red, white, blue ones, so.
Oh, perfect.
Let's see, what else? Upcoming, we have an election committee meeting on July 16th to where we will get together and we will talk about the poll workers, but now I think they call them election inspectors instead of poll workers.
Yep, and that's at 6:30.
That's
We'll
at
get that
6:30.
Posted.
And then right after that, we have a public, testing and accuracy testing where public can come in and watch as we run the ballot through and do the testing procedures to prepare for the elections.
And that'll be in the newspaper notice that the county publishes for everybody when the public accuracy test is, but, yep, so we'll be getting that all taken care of.
And if anybody wants to come, we'll popcorn, it'll be so interesting to watch us publicly test these ballots. Other than that, I got a couple webinars coming up this week. They offer all kinds of training on everything. So it's really, they've got a pretty good setup, I think.
Yeah, the only the other things, you had scheduled your clerk hours, the Saturday, prior to the election is gonna be August 3rd from 9 AM to 6 PM. If anybody wants to come get registered, or get ballot, yes.
I have posted a few clerk hours and I will next week again, because I'm here almost all the time, or not almost all the time, but a lot during the day. But I just haven't posted them, but I'm gonna start doing that more.
The website calendar has been updated for a lot of hours that Ginger has posted to be available to the public, those who wish to.
But don't become soon.
Well, hopefully now that, as the word spreads, they'll be coming in, so.
Used to anyone being here.
Okay,
Yeah.
any other questions for Ginger? Again, you're doing a great job and can't thank you enough for all of the time.
Thank you guys, and Blaine Gebhardt, she's like,
It's been a big help. So, okay,
Any thoughts on deputy or not?
the only issue with a deputy is because I don't know what to tell them to do, because I hardly know what to do. I'm struggling, like, finding myself, walking through everything, even though I went through all the training and passed, I still
learning until you.
really learning
Till you do it.
And like.
till I do it, and I wanna do all of it, or as much as I possibly can, so I know all the different, before I turn it over to somebody else and say, and I haven't really come up with the right person.
We'll give that some time and.
Miranda Carr has gladly agreed to help us with the,
Miranda Reynolds.
sorry, I'm so sorry, Miranda Reynolds. For a while, and so she's gonna help out, and she's experienced using the poll book, so it looks like we just might pull this off.
We'll pull it off.
We
So,
will.
Thank you, and we will move on. We don't have a report on the fire district, as Todd was the liaison there, but on our old business, we will discuss that. Marcy, did you have any land divisions to report?
No land divisions. I received a phone call from, an attorney through Cornwall Health. He called me because my name and number is out there in regards to Cato Township, but it has to do with the village, and the property of the hospital. So I directed him to the assessor, because it was a question for the assessor, as well as Darren.
Okay.
And I think that handled it, because he did not call me back.
Okay. David, Planning Commission report?
And I had a meeting since I last, but next Wednesday, the 17th, not this coming, the following Wednesday. Next meeting, we're talking Lake on July 17th,
July 17th.
Lake Residential.
All right, it's to my supervisor's report. So in the assessing department, the July Board of Review is officially scheduled for Tuesday, July 16th at 1 PM. That has all been posted. Another thing we found was that the contractor that was helping with the assessors get caught up on desk reviews actually got overpaid by $680. Second invoice must have came through, this was back in April, I think, and they have been notified that they need to pay us back that, so we will be waiting for that check. Talked to the assessors about it. When I was doing the budget, putting the budget together and going through all those invoices, there was a duplicate payment, so that will need to be refunded back to the township. Roads, second application of chloride, I think they've completed that. I did, somebody reached out and said that they had skipped Ferry and Birch Shore again, but when I contacted Mark Christensen, he said that he had specifically told them, don't miss those, and his thought was they were probably going to be bringing a smaller truck back, and I don't know, have you heard?
I don't know what they brought back in, I didn't happen to see it, so.
I asked the person who notified me to let me know.
Did she know?
She didn't.
I'll ask her.
Reply, but,
I'll ask her.
so, that's an update on roads. Legal, nothing to report other than the bill that we had earlier. Events and meetings, so you may or may not remember me bringing this up a few meetings back, but August 20th is the Montcalm MTA meeting, and Cato and Belvedere Townships are the hosts of that. And And I did reach out to Belvedere Township, and, in the past, we've had it at, I think we've hosted with them in the past, and we've had it at McKenna's Restaurant. So I did call, McKenna's and reserved that time, August 20th. And, I need to talk to, I think her name is Cindy Hansen, is the treasurer of, Montcalm MTA chapter, and just kind of talk to her about how that all works with, the meal, and, I don't think, the townships don't have to pay anything up front, but we need to just make sure we've got all our ducks in a row. So just FYI, there'll be more, information coming
What
up.
time is it?
That, 6 o'clock, I think. And the speaker is going to be, the, Register of Deeds, department head. I have her name written down, but I don't have it in front of me. But anyway, she's gonna be talking about some of the services they offer. I did get a letter from the drain commissioner, just a, spraying notice of the Van de Water drain in sections 8 and 17, just that, to notify, the township that the drain commission will be commencing with spray maintenance on the Van de Water drain. Just more of a, I guess, hey, we're gonna be out in the area working. Just wanted to bring that up. Cemetery, we do have, some items in new business on that. And then also, if you recall, we have somebody working on the digitization of our cemetery records, and she said that she should be done with that by next month, and that was, Missy King down at the village, and she was working on that for, we had approved $500 on that, so. And very close to getting the qualifying statement ready to file. Dutch and I worked on, looking up some, things as far as tax payments to confirm that we can answer some questions, yes. And then, or rather no. And then that was it for my supervisor's report. Any questions? Okay, moving into old business. So last time we had tabled, the 2024-25 board liaisons and roles. So I'll just quickly go through what we currently have. So we have Bernwald as the planning commission liaison, myself and Bernwald as the roads liaison, Myers doing land splits, myself as legal liaison, and then previously, former clerk was the FOIA coordinator, and also the liaison to the fire department. Now, typically the clerk does do the FOIA coordinating, but it's not a statutory requirement, if I'm not mistaken. So I would propose that, myself and, Clerk Imhoff, be joint FOIA coordinators. Yes, you're supposed to have a backup anyway, just because there's only so much time to respond than if somebody's gone. So that would be a proposal, and then, Clerk Imhoff has also, expressed interest in being the fire department liaison. As I mentioned previously, her late husband was, the fire chief for many years, and, she has, been involved with the fire, district in the past. So if you're interested, and no one else is interested, which
You're perfect.
It gets in your blood.
Yes.
It does.
I would like to make a motion, to approve, all of the same liaisons as previous, with the exception of adding or replacing now Imhoff and Clark Hubbard as joint FOIA coordinators, and Imhoff as the fire department liaison. Is there support for that?
Support.
Motion has been made and supported. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next item is bank signatories and credit card. So we need to get our deputy treasurer added as a signatory, correct?
Correct.
And that would be at both, I guess both Mercantile and the credit union for the time being. And it sounds like, former clerk, deputy clerk, and former treasurer have been removed, but I don't know if it's officially in the minutes, or if they still want those minutes where it says that officially.
Why don't we put it in the minutes just to be sure,
Just to be sure.
and they'll have it,
Okay.
but it sounds like they have it removed, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to add deputy treasurer Jamie Boehm as a signatory at Mercantile and Community First, and remove there support for that?
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. The credit card, so, we will no longer have a debit card with Mercantile, we no longer do, they've canceled that. But we had approved getting a credit card with Community First, or opening up a credit card account. And I'm not sure that we have officially set a, total spend limit to that. And, sounds like 2,500 may be a good number, it's really just used for postage, office supplies, cleaning supplies. I think we did already approve that it's a $500 limit per transaction, but the max that could be outstanding would be 2,500. And at the last meeting, we approved that to, the treasurer would be the authorized user, which is totally fine. I said I would, follow up with the MTA, and I did, and they said that, is totally fine to have the treasurer as an authorized user. But what it sounds like might be, the best idea as far as when we have the clerk's office that needs to buy their postage and their office supplies, and we also have the treasurer who has a lot of postage they need to buy as well, that we could issue 2 cards on that account, one for the clerk's office and one for the treasurer's office. Again, just one global 2,500, it wouldn't be like each, no, it would not be that. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Again, that $500 per transaction limit, just so, I don't wanna get into the habit of, here, you take the card, when it's, you're not authorized. And then if I was in charge of the card, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. So, that's kind of my proposal. Thoughts on that?
I agree, because it's always just been shared and it comes with a name on it, so.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna make another motion, to set a total spend limit of $2,500 for the credit card account at Community First, and issue 1 card each for the treasurer's office and the clerk's office with a $500 per transaction limit. And I have all this written out.
Okay,
It's all written out. Is there support on that?
Support.
Okay. Motion's been made and supported. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. The next thing, if we have a credit card, we are required by the state to have a credit card use policy. So that is, everybody, number 1. I wrote a little number 1. I don't know if I did it on your Dutch. I did it. But Cato Township credit card use policy, and this is a template that I got from the MTA, and it basically hits all the requirements that we have to have an officer designated to be responsible for issuing credit cards, accounting for, monitoring, retrieving those if somebody leaves office, and I put that as the township clerk and to being the gatekeeper of that. We also list out the use of the credit card is limited to the following circumstances: postage, office supplies, and community center supplies. That's really what it's used for, right? I mean, there wouldn't be any other uses. And then we also had some housekeeping items, having to submit receipts with the credit card statement, detailing out what was purchased, the date of the purchase, the vendor. Anyone who's issued a card is responsible for protection and custody and shall immediately notify the clerk if it's lost or stolen. Officer employee shall return the credit card upon termination. A system of internal controls to be set up to monitor the use of the credit cards. We talked about, let's see, or I added at the next. I don't know if I put it in here, but I think the best control, okay, yeah, we did, toward the bottom of page 1, the township clerk and treasurer shall review each credit card statement as soon as possible to ensure transactions comply with this policy. Let's see, and then I think both the treasurer and the clerk should sign off on the credit card statement and make sure all the receipts are attached, each month. But that was just kind of the highlights of it. Does anybody have any questions? Then at the end, I put the $2,500 global total, that a card would be issued for the clerk and the treasurer, and the $500 per transaction limit. So, is there a motion to approve the Cato Township credit card use policy?
Motion to approve the Cato Township credit card use policy.
Is there support for that?
Support.
Motion has been made and supported. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. And then one other one, snuck in there, this is kind of again in the banking realm. We should have a resolution, for accepting payments other than somebody writing a check or paying cash. And we do not accept ourselves, we don't accept credit cards, but we do, and I believe this is dating back to around 2020, we do have a service that is offered by e-government services, which is now owned by this company called Core BT, where they are basically a third-party site where people, we have a link on our website where they click, go to this site and they can pay them using their credit card, and then they charge a fee, and then the township does not get that fee, we get the tax payments. I'll explain that, and it deposits it right into our bank accounts, and we really should have a resolution on file according to the MTA on that. So that's what this, I used their template, which really had a lot about, you would accept from different credit card places, and I got rid of all of that, and I just noted that, that we have, as a board, have authorized the treasurer, actually the treasurer, has determined that an acceptable payment method is electronic funds transfers from this e-government services. And I believe that we found these guys through Mercantile Bank and doing a little research. We don't have a contract with them, from what we can tell. There was a template that they provided, but it was, I think when they were bought out, I don't know that it was transferred, whatever, but we don't, according to them, we don't actually need to have a contract, because all we're doing is getting our, they're depositing into our account. But, we might look into that a little further. This has been going on since 2020 of how we've accepted payments, so maybe we look into, I guess, maybe getting something in writing with them in the future, but, I think we just needed to know what we have out there right now.
There's no fees for the township
Yeah.
to have this service.
Yeah.
I mean, they collect the fees from citizens who pay taxes, so we don't have a bill or anything with them for
Correct.
usage.
Correct. Do you know what the fee is? That's 3%, which is pretty common for that. So, and never had any issues with them.
Not that I know.
And now we've had to transfer it over so that they're depositing into the credit union account versus Mercantile.
Right.
And again, we found
It's working.
I think we found these guys through Mercantile originally, so. So is there a motion to approve the resolution for the acceptance of payments by financial transaction lists?
I move that we approve the resolution for acceptance of payments by financial transactions.
Is there support for that?
Support.
I'm not, I think it was Dave was first, okay.
We got Dave.
David got support on that. Further discussion? Since it's a resolution, I think we gotta do roll call. Burnwell?
Yes.
Hardcover, yes. Imhoff?
Yes.
Rushmore?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay. Now, we are moving to our report from Trusted Solutions. Blaine Gebhardt is here. And item 3, everybody should have a copy of her post-proposal report for the work that she's been doing with the township that we originally approved back in May or April? May. So we've been working hard and getting a lot accomplished, so we're gonna let Blaine take the floor and go through it.
So, basically, we were able to accomplish everything that was in the original proposal, which I'll just go through it with you and give some explanation. And we did it well under budget. for hours, and we didn't use any of the 10 training hours that you had approved, so those are all still available for your new clerk if that's something you guys want to move forward with. So just know that part of the proposal wasn't utilized. Starting out at the top, we needed to review your payroll liability payments and how those were being done. I did go over that with the previous clerk and corrected how some of that was going and made sure that that's now accurately reflected in QuickBooks. And we'll go over that again with the new clerk as well. Your state withholdings were not matching, your records weren't matching the state records with your payments or your filings. We were able to verify with the state what was owed, and it actually resulted in a refund for you. And then the preference with the state is also online payments and filings, so we set up that system, which makes it a lot easier for you, and it also makes the opportunity for error much, much lower. In this case, the error actually happens at the state level more often than not, and that was the case with you guys too. It was a mistake on the state's part with the paper filing and the payment not making it to being connected. So that's all taken care of. You guys are good there. Your chart of accounts was not set up the way that the state of Michigan has set forward with a uniform chart of accounts. That's been corrected and reorganized. We also reorganized the way that it is sectioned off so that it's clearly separated with your different funds being your general fund, Honeymoon Heights, and your fire fund. So those will report differently, completely separately within your financial reporting, and when you go to look on within QuickBooks, those accounts are separated, so you can tell that difference. Let's see. We also adjusted the chart of accounts to mirror your approved budget line items, and we're able to put in the current budget that was approved for the fiscal year you just started, and that does now reflect the cost centers that you did approve. And then we separated and reconciled your CD accounts. So previously, those balances were combined. You have two separate CDs, and they were being combined in QuickBooks into one, and then they also hadn't been updated with interest that had been deposited or reconciled. So those are now current to date with those, and they're separated so you can see which CD balances are independently. The old Honeymoon Heights Road account had 15 cents in it, so we were able to clean that up and get that one off your book so that it's not hanging out there, because that is actually closed. You had a variety of name lists, vendor names, customer names. There's an other names list within QuickBooks, and all of those lists had duplicate entries. It could be that somebody's name was their last name first and then another entry their first name first. So we were able to clean that up so that now you don't have 6 Lakeview Village of Lakeview, VOL, so that part is cleaned up. Also for the vendors, you didn't have any information in there flagging who was supposed to be getting a 1099. So what I did was went back and looked at historically who were you paying enough money to warrant them being 1099, and then I gave you guys a list of those people to look at. Make sure you have the W-9s for them that tell you what type of business they are. That will determine if they're eligible for 1099 or not. And then going forward at the end of the year, you'll be able to note which one of those vendors should be issued that document. So that's kind of an in-works process as the year goes. Your fire expenses and revenues had some transactions that were reporting funny because of how they were entered. Those were corrected. You have a budget versus actual report now that does show, like I mentioned, the independent funds so that you can see those separated. We were able to do a few various budget adjustments to make sure that those expenditures were in the categories that they should be in, so that you have more accurate reporting for planning purposes. The bill detail report, we did work on, that you guys used tonight, that's generated from QuickBooks versus a manually generated one that was previous, and we can work on it, how that displays, so that it's whatever your preference is. There were a few checks that should have been written as payroll checks in 2023 that were not. They were written outside of that payroll system as vendor checks. Those were corrected. It did result in 2 of the W-2s that were issued being incorrect. So those W-2s were corrected, resubmitted to the state and federal governments, and then the employees that those impacted did receive corrected copies with a letter explaining what had happened. We also did a review of all your payrolls for active employees during fiscal year 2022-23 through current. So part of what you guys were talking about earlier with the retro pay and things like that was some of that fell into that category. So we did verify the timing of those pay periods. We were talking about changing the timing of your paying to make sure that was accurate. Corrected the actual pay so that everybody can be recorded as paid in full to date. And then we reviewed and corrected some of the 941s. Did have to file amendments for, I believe it was 3 quarters within that time frame. So those were corrected, filed, and the timing of how some of them went got a little hairy, and so you receive some penalty notices. You'll receive a couple refunds as well, just in how those timings and where the inaccuracies were, and with how those got filed. So it should all sort out by the end of this year, though, and moving forward, you should be totally fine. And that ties into being able to answer the qualifying statement that we had talked about for the supervisor's paperwork. And then just lastly, noting there that what I mentioned at the beginning, that those training hours weren't used. So, anybody have questions?
That's good. Yeah, no, this is a great report.
Yeah.
And done a lot of work, and we have the training hours left for once we get through the selection, we can have you guys work together.
Mm-hmm.
But we had also approved in our budget to have you come out monthly and help with various tasks, mainly probably around payroll,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we